We're going to take you inside a church unlike anything you've probably ever seen before. The house band has sold millions of records. The services have lines around the block, and the congregation sometimes includes people like Bono and Bieber. And the pastor is a hipster heartthrob. Tonight, what makes Hillsong Church so popular and so controversial? And what ABC's Byron Pitts asked the pastor that made him cry.
This is Hillsong, New York. Your granddaddy's church, it's not. Hand-raising, heart-thumping, hipster-style Christianity. A come-as-you-are, tattoos-welcome 90-minute experience. The lines to get in are long, blocks long, filled mostly with young people.
We love church. We love Hillsong. We are here to have an encounter with Jesus.
This is awesome.
The pastor, 36-year-old Carl Lentz. Brad Pitt looks, Billy Graham theology.
God will bless you in areas you didn't even know you wanted to be blessed. He will heal you in places you didn't even know you were broken.
Among the faithful, a who's who of entertainment and sports. Bono and Hugh Jackman have attended services. NBA star Kevin Durant was baptized by Pastor Carl, as well as celebrity bad boy Justin Bieber.
Celebrities are a part of New York City. We always figure we're going to reach everybody here. We say from the faceless to the famous.
And they come in droves, close to 8,000 worshipers spread over 6 Sunday services. What goes on in here?
A typical service for us is going to be...
There's nothing typical about your service.
Well, that's probably true.
The sanctuary, a rented New York ballroom.
How do you explain the success of this church? It's growing.
But we're not trying to, have this big, hot, trendy, cool, packed church. It's awesome.
Hipster church?
Yeah, hipster is always a term that I'm always like, what does that mean? The story is not the clothes people wear, it's the lives they're living.
We talked to members who said how Hillsong helped them reconnect with their faith.
It's just a message of God's love, and who's not attracted to a positive environment where you come in and you leave feeling much better than you came in.
It seems like it's a pretty tumultuous time in culture. A response to that has been the really shallow world of social media, smoke and mirrors living. So you come into church and there is a realness to it. It's hitting a chord that people didn't know they had. When we first moved here, it just seemed so big.
On the streets of New York, Pastor Carl certainly keeps it real.
What's up, brother?
He's known to offer a word of prayer or scripture to anybody, anywhere.
I'll talk to him.
I've been with pastors who don't know anyone outside their doors. The guy says, "Hey, Carl," and you stop.
I'll be back. Let me try. I don't look at it as this giant metropolis as much as our local parish, if you will.
It did seem for a moment, at least in our interview, leading a church this big, growing this quickly, can sometimes overwhelm a pastor this young.
You can't fake who you are. You are who you are. So if everybody on our...
Who are you?
I love people.
Tell me what's up.
I really want to have, the same heart for people that Jesus did, which is to not see what everybody else saw, but try to dig a little bit deeper. I feel like that's how I was reached. I feel like there are people who looked over all the stuff I had going on and saw stuff in me that I didn't see.
Pastor Carl may have given a glimpse of his humanity, but he soon shut it down with humor.
Don't show this, Byron. This is fake. It's all for show.
Hillsong New York is the U.S. flagship of a global movement started in Sydney, Australia by senior pastor Brian Houston 30 years ago.
I feel like our music and reaching young people, God's kissed it. He's graced us for it.
There are satellite churches today from London to Paris, Kiev to Cape Town.
If you walked into all of them, you'd see a similar demographic of people. You could close your eyes and you could think I'm in any one of our Hillsong churches anywhere in the world.
That familiar feeling stems from the music.
We started singing and writing songs in our church, and we were surprised when they started singing them in other churches all around the world like they are now.
It's called Hillsong United. Simply put, they're one of the hottest bands on earth.
Take me deep within my feet.
With hits like Oceans, Hillsong United has sold over 16 million albums and is now nominated for its first American Music Award.
It felt like I was backstage at a concert. There were like technicians off to the side. There were some folks there behind the keyboard, the headsets on.
Less groupies though.
Joel Houston, Pastor Brian's son, is co-lead pastor in New York, but also guides Hillsong United.
Music has an incredible ability to break down walls and to reach people's hearts.
A snappy beat, a smidge of scripture have made for a winning and profitable combination.
How vital is the music to funding what you do at Hillsong?
Well, it plays a part for sure, and it has been a huge blessing.
Half, a third?
For sure. You know, to be honest, I really genuinely can't answer the exact amount. Of course, we're a non-profit, so all of the finances come into the non-profit and are used for the ministry.
Like many megachurches, Hillsong is shy about discussing their finances. At the service we attended in New York, we were asked not to film the offertory.
The collective sacrifice of many is what you see in our church.
Tonight we speak salvation in your house.
One area critics, both liberal and conservative, have seized upon are social issues like homosexuality. While the optics of Hillsong scream hip, modern, diverse, the church comes out of the Pentecostal tradition.
And the only way I was getting out of that life is through the blood of Jesus. I gave my life.
It's theology steeped in Old Testament traditions.
You went on the record some years ago saying that homosexuality is a sin.
Right.
How does that impact how you lead a church where there are gays who may want to come to Hillsong?
And that's exactly why we see it as a conversation. The Apostle Paul describes homosexuality as sin. And I can't unwrite the Bible. But on the other hand, we're not a church that can just make big blanket sweeping statements that dismiss people.
If a gay couple came to Hillsong, would you want them to change?
The short answer is I think all of us need to be changing. But we'll never be the kind of church who, when people join the choir, we ask them, are you heterosexual? You know, are you homosexual? We will never be that kind of church.
Another part of Hillsong's job, as Pastor Brian sees it, is growth.
See, this right here is a picture of revival.
His other son, Ben Houston, just opened Hillsong Los Angeles. And already those familiar lines are forming for Sunday services inside this rented theater.
This is revival. God is moving.
With a church so dependent on young people, the question's been raised, will they someday outgrow it? The shepherds and the sheep insist it's not the nuance that makes Hillsong work, it's the name you hear over and over again, Jesus.
The story, the thread has to come back to Jesus.
For Nightline, I'm Byron Pitts in New York.